Hi everyone and welcome back to Macaroon. A few years ago, I made this video testing out a transparent clay from Japan, and since then so many people have asked me to try mixing it into slime. I really wanted to do that, but the clay ended up being out of stock for a long time and I wasn't able to find it anywhere online. However, a few months ago, I came across a Japanese Etsy shop selling rare craft supplies, so I ordered this again immediately. And now we can finally find out if it's possible to make a clear butter slime. The main problem I had in the first video was that I couldn't read the instructions, so I wasn't sure if I was doing it correctly. The clay was quite solid and I had a hard time sculpting with it. This time I want to try again, but I'm going to use the Google Translate app first. This is completely free to download and has a really cool feature that many people don't know about. For best results, you should always download the language pack for whatever translation you need. In this case, I know the instructions are in Japanese, so I've downloaded that already. Once you're inside the app, click here to go into camera translation mode. Now all you have to do is hold the camera over the thing you want to translate, and all of a sudden we're living the year 3019. This is super useful for translating signs or menus when you're on holiday, or foreign packaging like this one here. Of course, this isn't 100% perfect, but it gives you enough information to understand what's going on, especially if you know the rest of the context. In this case, we can see that the box in the back has standard warnings about it not being food and to stop use in case of skin irritation. And right down in the corner here, it says raw material silicone mixture, which gives us a good idea what it's made of. So the packaging hasn't changed over the years, and you get this block of transparent clay plus a tiny container of gel that's called a promoter or accelerator. This is used to make the clay softer. Now the real test is whether we can translate this page of tiny instructions. I'm pretty impressed by how fast this function works. Considering it's augmented reality, the camera must somehow pick up the color of the paper, display the text, and do the translations all at the same time. It did take a few attempts to get a translation that I was able to understand, but I found this a lot more reassuring than the first time when I had to guess everything. One thing that helped me a lot was reading the sentence, "First, clay feels hard." I always thought my first video didn't turn out well because the clay was too old, but it's good to know that this is actually perfectly normal. So I'm going to start by cutting off a much smaller piece than I did in my other video. I flattened this out and it already looks quite transparent, however the texture is still fairly hard. Then I'm adding some of the promoter or accelerator, which is what makes it soft. Unfortunately, the translation missed the exact ratio, but I'm just following the pictures and applying a small amount using a toothpick. Then I'm going to mix it inside using a rolling pin. This is now getting visibly softer. I rolled it into a very thin sheet and it looks exactly like the picture from the packaging. I think this clay is only supposed to be used for crafting very delicate things like flower petals. It loses a lot of transparency when it's thicker, which explains why the cat from my first video didn't turn out so well. The biggest problem here is that this is not a water-based clay like Daiso, Hearty Soft, or Crayola Model Magic. It feels quite waxy and can be best described as a silicone putty. The thing about silicone is that it's obviously not fluffy or water-soluble, which are properties that we need to mix clay into slime. However, since I started this experiment, I want to test it out till the end, so here I've got a small container of clear slime. I've placed a blob of slime on top, and as you can see, it just sits on the clay a bit like a filling on a taco shell. I'm sure this product is just called clay for marketing value, but it's basically a solid version of transparent silicone. After mixing it for quite some time, it's clear that the silicone clay is simply breaking into smaller pieces, and it's definitely not going to blend smoothly into the slime. I'm also doing the knife test here, and even though it's strangely satisfying in its own way, it's clearly not the grainy texture of classic butter slime. So I hope this video answers some questions from all those people who are curious to know what happens if you mix this into clear slime. Unfortunately, this doesn't produce a classic butter slime. However, the clay itself is still a very unusual material to work with. And of course, if you want my recipe for a clay-free butter slime, then be sure to check out this video here. I'm Joanna, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!